Chapter 934. The pretty boy became even more handsome. Just as Yun Chujio finished her sentence, the door opened and Di Biming walked out. Yun Chujio's mouth dropped and her face was filled with shock. Damn, why was the pretty boy even more handsome than before? Damn. His skin was almost as smooth as hers. How did things turn out so well? His facial features were as sharp as a knife, his eyebrows were as black as ink, and his eyes were like cold stars. His lips were tightly pursed and he exuded an aura of abstinence and lust. Yun Chujio felt that her little heart was about to jump out. Damn, she was about to faint. Di Biming was a little uncomfortable. He felt that it was too unmanly for a man to have such good skin. It was still better to have his original skin color, which was why he did not come out for a long time. However, when he saw Yun Chujio's infatuated gaze, a trace of pride rose in his heart. Maybe he would not go to the Crimson Flame Island to get a tan for the time being. Originally, he wanted to go there to get a tan a little since he liked dark things. Yun Chujio's little face was flushed red as she walked up to Di Biming. Prince Charming, you're so handsome. I'm going to be charmed to death by you. Di Biming was very proud when he saw Yun Chujio's shy little appearance. However, if he knew what she was thinking, he would probably strangle her to death. This fellow, Yun Chujio, felt that she had profited handsomely. This feeling was as if she had just changed boyfriends. And Feng and an Yin looked at each other. Deep sorrow flashed through their hearts. Did they take the same kind of pill? Not only did His Excellency not run to the toilet, he had become even more handsome, but they still looked the same. Yun Chujio diligently massaged Di Biming's shoulders and poured him tea. She was extremely virtuous, and her small eyes were filled with admiration. Di Biming felt as if he had drifted to the clouds. Di Biming enjoyed this kind of treatment, so he turned a blind eye to the pervert Yun Chujio who took advantage of him from time to time. And Feng and an Yin felt like rejects. The two of them hid in a corner and were secretly sad. Yun Chujio flirted with Di Biming for a while before she remembered what she originally set out to do. She eagerly took the fresh batch of Universal Essence cleansing pills and went to find the Yun siblings. When Yun Chuzi and the others saw the pill that Yun Chujio proudly took out, they could not help but think of the demonic beasts that had eaten Yun Chujio's pill. Some of them had 3 eyes, some had 2 tails, and some even had all their hair fallen off. They immediately shook their heads like rattle drums. They would not eat this pill even if they were beaten to death. Yun Chujio was anxious when she saw their reluctance. How could the pill that she had spent so much effort to refine not work? They had to eat it. Thus, she used her spiritual power that was much higher than theirs to forcefully stuff the pills into the Yun siblings' mouths. The Yun siblings were very anxious and wanted to spit out the pill. However, Yun Chujio just sat there and stared at them, so they could only forcefully endure it. After a quarter of an hour, the 6 people's stomachs began to hurt. Only then did Yun Chujio show her kindness and let them off. The 6 people immediately rushed to the latrine. The 6 of them only had one thought in their hearts. What was little Gio doing? Was she crazy? Sob sob, could it be that they had also started transforming into monsters? When the 6 of them came out of the latrine, Yun Chujio had already gone elsewhere. She was currently interrogating Feng Ming and the other 2 with a serious expression. 3 senior brothers, I have here 3 top-notch rare pills. After you take them, your spiritual power level will increase in the blink of an eye. However, you must first tell me, have your fruits been peeled yet? Chapter 935. Does not have any side effects peeled fruit? What did that mean? Feng Ming and the other 2 did not react at first and looked at Yun Chujio in confusion. Yun Chujio coughed dryly. What I meant was that you guys haven't had sex with anyone, right? Sex? The 3 of them still did not quite understand what Yun Chujio meant. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. What I meant was that you guys haven't had sex with a woman yet, right? Had sex? Although the 3 of them had never heard of such a thing, they could roughly guess it. The 3 innocent young men's faces immediately flushed red. Junior sister Xiao Jiao, why are you asking this question? My pill is a bit special. It's only effective for those who have never done it yet. Have the 3 of you ever had sex? The 3 of them shook their heads repeatedly. However, They were just as opposed to the pill in Yunchujia's hand as the Yun siblings. It was because they remembered those demonic beasts that had been tortured by Yunchujio. That hairless bear had yet to regrow its hair. Humph! When have I ever cheated you? I'll ask you again. Are you going to eat it or not? If you don't, you'll give it to someone else. After saying that, Yunchujio acted as if she was going to leave. The three of them smelled the rich medicinal fragrance and thought about the alluring effect that Yunchujio said. They gritted their teeth and said, "Well, take it." That's right. This spirit medicine was refined by me with some difficulty. As long as you eat it, your spiritual power will rise. When that time comes, I'll wait for you guys. Then we can ascend together. Think about how wonderful that is. All of you are the youngest to ascend apart from me. How awesome is that? Yunchujio handed the medicinal pill to the three of them and said with a smile. When the three of them heard Yunchujio's words, they swallowed the medicinal pill without hesitation. Feng Ming thought for a moment and asked, "Junior sister little Jio, there aren't any side effects from this medicinal pill, right?" Yunchujio blinked her eyes. Side effects? Will the medicinal pill I refined have any side effects? Don't worry, there aren't any side effects at all. Just wait for your spiritual power to soar. Well, I will leave first and wait for the good news. After saying that, Yunchujio hummed a song and hopped away. Feng Ming and the other two looked at each other. Why did they feel that junior sister little Jio's seemed somewhat smug before she left? She was not teasing them, right? The three of them could not help but think of those mutated demonic beasts that were tortured by Yunchujio. 2 hours later, the three of them clenched their stomachs and rushed into the toilet. Fuck! They knew that junior sister little Jio must have hidden something from them. Was this a cleansing pill or a laxative? However, when they came out of the latrine with pale faces, they felt that their bodies were incomparably lighter. Their perception of things was also much more sensitive than before. Most importantly, they felt that the speed of absorbing spiritual power was much faster than before. Junior sister little Jio's pill must have helped us remove the impurities in our bodies. In other words, our spiritual root level has increased, Gung Yi said excitedly. Although junior sister little Jio has a temperamental personality, she is still reliable in big matters. We can't let her down. Hurry up and cultivate. Well, strive to reach the Tianyuan continent with her. Shi Xian nodded and said. However, Shi Xian's heart was somewhat worried about Yun Chuki. Her spiritual power level was a little low, and she was afraid that she would not be able to ascend together with him. However, junior sister little Jio would think of a way to help her. It would be good for him to go to the Tianyuan continent to check things out first. When she ascends, he would make things smoother for her. Chapter 936, Big Red Packet. After Yunchujio distributed all the pills, she hopped back to her dormitory. Prince Charming, you'd better tell your master about those cleansing pills. It's best if there are no restrictions. Give a few to my grandfather and uncle so that they can become stronger. Di Baiming nodded and took out a voice transmission talisman to send a message to his master. However, he could not send any messages. It was likely that the old man was in seclusion or traveling again. I could not send a message. I will try again another day. Don't worry, I will definitely follow up on this matter. Prince Charming, I don't need to worry about you. The person I trust the most is you. Yunchujio was like an infatuated girl. As she looked at the newly made beautiful man in front of her, and her eyes were filled with little hearts. Di Baiming coughed a few times unnaturally, but in his heart, he was quite proud. It did not matter if the cat was black or white, a cat that could catch a mouse was already a good cat. As long as little Jio liked him, it was good enough. Yunchujio looked at Di Baiming, whose ears were slightly red, and her heart itched. Her claws subconsciously touched Di Baiming's face. Damn, it was so slippery. Just as Yunchujio wanted to touch him again, a shout came from the sky, "Little trash!" Stuff. Yunchujio silently rolled her eyes. The old witch was here. As expected, the palace mistress was here. However, this time, she listened to Di Baiming's suggestion and did not take the luxurious flying spirit tool. Instead, she took a very ordinary-looking flying spirit tool. The palace mistress heard Di Biming say that Yun Chujio was already at the 8th level of the Spirit Emperor realm. She did not believe it at all and felt that Di Biming was lying to her. However, she was still uncertain and decided to come to find out for herself. Greetings, palace mistress. Long time no see. I miss you so much. I can dream of you every day. In my dreams, you cared for me in every way. This little heart of mine is so touched. Yun Chujio said with a touched expression. The palace mistress snorted coldly, but she was very surprised in her heart. How did this little trash become more and more beautiful? He was almost on par with the few ladies that she had high hopes for. It must be that little brat Biming who had asked his master for some beautiful medicinal pills. The palace mistress looked at Yun Chujio's spiritual power again. This little brat Biming was indeed lying to her. This lasts only at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. When Yun Chujio went to the Sea of Stars, she had adjusted her spiritual power to the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. She did not even think about changing it when she returned. Therefore, the palace mistress only saw Yun Chujio at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. As the palace mistress had already experienced Yun Chujio's sharp tongue, she kept a cold face throughout the whole process. Other than a cold snort, she ignored her. Instead, she was stunned by Di Biming's appearance. Biming, you? How did your skin become so good? Has your master developed a new beauty pill? Hurry up and give me a few. The palace mistress said anxiously. Women were always very concerned about their appearance, and the palace mistress was no exception. Mother, what beauty pill are you talking about? I only took the universal essence cleansing pill that little Gio refined for me to turn out like this. Di Biming explained. Who are you trying to kid? That little trash can even refine pills. You little bastard. Did your master only give you 2 pills, so you took one and gave that little trash the other? As expected, you have forgotten your mother when you had a wife. The palace mistress sighed in anger. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Thank you for acknowledging my identity, mother. Although it's a little early to call me his wife before we get married, I don't mind. However, shouldn't you give me a big red packet instead? Chapter 937. The palace mistress wanted nothing more than to slap Yun Chujio to death. She slapped the stone table instead and said, Nonsense. When did I admit that you were his wife? Mother, didn't you just say it? You just said that Brother Biming had a wife and forgot about her mother. Yun Chujio looked at the crack on the stone table and curled her lips. What a prodigal woman, slapping the table for fun whenever she had nothing to do. I was just using a metaphor. Do you understand what a metaphor is? You can't even understand basic languages. What a waste. The palace mistress said angrily. Yun Chujio was not angry and continued to smile. Oh, so it was a metaphor. I thought you had accepted things. After all, I am about to meet the condition that you proposed earlier. The palace mistress sneered. You're about to complete it? You are only at the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm. How can you meet my condition? You are overestimating yourself. 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm? Yun Chujio suddenly remembered that she did revert to her usual spiritual power level. Her eyes rolled and evil thoughts appeared again. Therefore, she said, Palace mistress, you may not know this, but my cultivation method is a little special. As long as I want, I can raise the 1st level of the spiritual emperor realm to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. The palace mistress was so angry that she laughed. Little trash, do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Aren't you afraid that you will hurt your tongue if you boast too much? Sigh. Why don't you believe me, palace mistress? How about this? The 2 of us can make a bet. If I can raise my spiritual power to the 8th layer of the spiritual emperor realm within 15 minutes, you can pay the revised fee of 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. If I can't do it, I'll return you the 100,000 high-grade spirit stones that you gave me last time. Yun Chujio said with a slightly provocative look. The palace mistress glared at Yun Chujio. Who do you think you are? You're really thick-skinned. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes innocently. Palace mistress, if not the mother and son, then are we sisters? It can't be the grandfather and grandson, right? The palace mistress was so angry that her head hurt a little. She felt that she was asking for trouble by talking with this little trash. Palace mistress, are we still going to have this bet? If you don't have confidence in yourself, it's fine if you don't want to fight. After all, I don't care. I don't have confidence? If you want to make a bet, then let's make a bet. However, it's just a simple bet. Don't flatter yourself. The palace mistress said disdainfully. This little trash is too infuriating. I had already thought about it when I came here. I only came to take a look. I'm not going to lower myself to her level. However, she needs to be taught a lesson. Let's just gamble. It's also 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Palace mistress, are you sure you have that kind of money with you? Don't tell me that you don't have money when you eventually lose. Yun Chujio secretly curled her lips. Do you think that I'm willing to call you mother? Pooey. If it wasn't for the sake of Prince Charming, I would have angered you to death. Palace mistress snorted coldly. As expected, you're from a small family. 100,000 high-grade spirit stones is just small change to me. Naturally, I won't blame you. However, the person who loses will be you. Just don't act so shamelessly. Di Baiming stood at the side and looked up at the sky with an expressionless face. My God, it's not that your son is not on your side. You just jumped into the pit yourself. I've already told you that little Nine is at the 8th layer of the spiritual emperor realm. Why don't you believe me? You have all the spirit stones in our family. If you lose a little, so be it. After all, we're all family. An Feng and an Yin silently gave a wave of sympathy to the palace mistress. Your spirit stones are forfeit. You always say that you're here to pick a fight, but why are you always making things easy for the 9th miss? Chapter 938. Must be separated. Seeing the strange expressions on the three of them, the palace mistress felt a little suspicious in her heart. Could it be that she had been tricked by this little trash again? Her spiritual power level was much higher than this little girl. How could she not even be able to tell her true spiritual power level? She must be thinking too much. Yun Chujio glanced at the palace mistress with a smile, but she was not in a hurry to adjust her spiritual power level. Instead, she said, Palace mistress, it's still not too late for you to go back on your words now. Why don't we just forget about this bet? You are a guest here, so I'd be sorry for making you spend so much money. Moreover, 100,000 high-grade spirit stones is no small amount. Before Yun Chujio could finish her words, she was interrupted by the palace mistress. Cut the crap. I've said it before, and I will never go back on my words. Are you stalling for time? If you can't do it, then just admit defeat. Yun Chujio spread her hands. Alright, since you insist, then I will start. Watch carefully. It's time to witness a miracle. The palace mistress curled her lips and acted haughtily. I will enjoy watching you cry if you can't ascend. Yun Chujio had the intention to tease the palace mistress. She played around and then pretended to be discouraged. Aya, why hasn't it changed? It's over. Am I going to lose? The palace mistress raised her eyebrows and curled her lips. I told you, how could this little girl reach the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm in less than a year? As expected, Baiming was lying to her. However, it was not bad to get the 100,000 high-grade spirit stones back. She was completely cheated by the little girl back then. The palace mistress' prideful look did not last long. She saw Yun Chujio's spiritual power rise until she reached the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. Yun Chujio giggled. Aya, palace mistress, give me the spirit stones. I'm so sorry. You always give me something every time I come here. It's so rare to have such a generous mother-in-law like you. I'm so lucky to have met a mother-in-law like you. The palace mistress was shocked. She rubbed her eyes. This little piece of trash rose to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm in just a few months. The talent of one with the heavenly thunder root spirit was indeed monstrous. However, this strengthened her determination to separate Yun Chujio and Di Baiming. Such a monstrous talent would not be tolerated by Tian Dao. Sooner or later, she would be wiped out by the Tian Dao. Moreover, it would also implicate Baiming. She was not suitable for Baiming at all. You are looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. I admit that your cultivation speed is not bad, but your starting point is far inferior to other children of the same age in the Tianyuan continent. With your talent, you are not even qualified to be admitted into Tianshan Academy, let alone the top 100 of the roll of prodigies, said the palace mistress with disdain as she passed the spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Palace mistress, I have always believed in a saying, that is, don't bully the young and poor. Just because I am weak now does not mean that I will always be weak. Just because I have a low starting point does not mean that I will lose. Where there is a will, there is a way. Isn't it just the top 100 of roll of prodigies? Let's wait and see. Yun Chujio's small figure was rigid as she spoke with a firm tone. The palace mistress was momentarily stunned. She had to admit that this little trash still had some redeeming qualities. This fearlessness was somewhat similar to when she was young. If her family background was better, if she didn't have the heavenly thunder spirit root that the Tian Dao forbade, she would have been able to make do. Unfortunately, this condition would burden Baiming. No matter what, she had to separate the two of them. Chapter 939. I feel a little bad. The palace mistress regained her senses and said coldly, anyone can boast. Let's not talk about anything else. Ascending requires the test of 9 heavenly lightning bolts. I'm afraid that you won't be able to stand all 9. Let's talk about it after you pass this test. The palace mistress realized that after she said that, Di Baiming and the other 2 bodyguards had strange expressions on their faces. She frowned slightly. What was going on? She was right. Why did they have such expressions? And Feng thought to himself, my lady, you seem to have misunderstood the situation of Tian Lei and 9th Mississippi. When the time comes, the one who will be sad will probably not be the 9th Miss but Tian Lei, okay? Don't mention 9 bolts of heavenly lightning, even 9,000 or 90,900 bolts would not be able to do anything to this little devil. The one who would run away in the end would definitely be Tian Lei, okay? The palace mistress did not know the inside story and misunderstood that they were worried about Yun Chujio. She said coldly, if you can't even withstand the heavenly lightning tribulation, then you don't have the qualifications to ascend. Just give up. Yun Chujio looked like she was in tears of gratitude. Palace mistress, I did not expect you to think so much for me. You even thought about my trials and tribulations. No wonder Brother Baiming told me that you are the kindest and most magnanimous person. You have always been sharp-tongued, but in fact, you are extremely soft-hearted. You say that you don't like me, but in your heart, you have always been thinking about me. I didn't believe it at first, but now, I believe it. The palace mistress was choked by Yun Chujio's words. If she said that she was not worried about her, then that would be unkind? But to say that she was worried about her? She wished that this little trash would not succeed in her trial. She could not say something that went against her heart. Di Baiming felt that his mother was no match for Yun Chujio, so he could only attempt to smooth things over. Mother, you haven't had dinner yet, right? Let's have dinner first. The palace mistress snorted coldly. I have no appetite. Come back with me. Your father has come out of closed-door cultivation. I have something to talk to you about. Di Baiming frowned. Just as he hesitated, Yun Chujio said with a smile, Brother Baiming, since uncle is looking for you, then you should go back with the palace mistress. Don't worry, I will cultivate well and strive to enter the Tianyuan Academy as soon as possible. The palace lord's wife snorted coldly. This little trash had good judgment, but it was a pity that her background was too low. She would not be able to cause any trouble again once Baiming is taken away. Palace mistress, if you have time, come and take a stroll. Next time, you don't have to prepare such a big red packet for me. Every time you visit, you give me such a large amount. I feel a little bad in my heart. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The palace mistress wished that she could slap this little devil to death. She endured it and squeezed out several words from between her teeth. Take care of yourself. Baiming, let's go. Yun Chujio waved her little handkerchief to send Di Baiming and the palace mistress off. She then began to indulge in her own little days once again. To maintain the same progress as Feng Ming and the other 2, she deliberately slowed down her cultivation speed. It was not bad to consolidate her foundation. After showing off for a few days, she finally remembered her initial goal and decided to pay a visit to Yun Chuzi and the others to see how the effects of the Universal Essence Cleansing Pill were. Before Yun Chujio went to look for them, the Yun siblings came to look for Yun Chujio excitedly. "Little Jio, your pills are amazing. In less than half a month, I've advanced 2 levels. Yun Chuki said excitedly. Yun Chula grinned and shouted, "Me too. Little Jio, I wronged you back then. I thought the pills you refined were unreliable. I didn't expect them to be so awesome." Chapter 940. The decision of Feng Ming and the other 2. Yun Chujio said smugly, "When have I ever let you guys down? However, don't level up too quickly. Stabilize yourselves before you break through." Yun Chuzi and the others nodded repeatedly. The gratitude in their hearts could not be described with words. They had thought that they could only stay in the small Yi city for the rest of their lives. They did not expect that there was a chance for them to ascend now. It was something that they did not even dare to dream about in the past, and all of this was because of little Jio. Qing Si wanted to say something, but she hesitated. The gratitude in her heart towards Yun Chujio did not need to be expressed. However, her background was special. After thinking for a while, she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. Yun Chujio saw Qing Si's expression and did not ask any further. Everyone had their own private matters. As long as they knew that she did not have any ill intentions, it was fine as long as she was willing to show it. It did not matter even if she did not say anything. The next day, Feng Ming and the other 2 also found Yun Chujio. They were so excited that they were about to go crazy. Although they felt that the speed of their spiritual power absorption had increased after taking the medicine, they did not expect it to be so fast. It was truly shocking. Yun Chujio did not reveal an excited expression when she heard the words of the 3 of them. She said with a serious expression, "Senior brothers, I've thought about it these few days. My previous actions were too reckless. I didn't consider it thoroughly enough. Although you can advance very quickly after taking the pills, your foundation isn't solid. Even if it's a heavenly tribulation, it'll help you to endure it. When you reach the Tianyuan continent, you'll need at least a year to consolidate your foundation. You can't continue to break through. When that time comes, you'll have to endure a period of being despised and criticized by others. Are you mentally prepared? If you feel that you can't bear it, you can slow down your cultivation speed. I will fly to the Tianyuan continent alone first." These days, Yun Chujio had been reflecting on this kind of act of pulling out seedlings to encourage growth. She felt that she was a little selfish, so she had to let everyone know Feng Ming and the other 2 were stunned. These days, they were immersed in the joy of their soaring spiritual power and did not think too much about it. Now that they heard what Yun Chujio had to say, they began to consider it carefully. The 3 of them were like dragons and phoenixes among men. With a little thought, they understood the hidden meaning behind Yun Chujio's words. Although Yun Chujio helped them as fellow disciples, it was also to her benefit. If they took the other party's benefits and then retreated, it would be too disloyal. Moreover, the tempering of one's temperament was also a part of cultivation. So what if they were to be despised and criticized? Junior sister little Jio suffered a lot more than them back then. If she could even endure it as a little girl, so could they? Junior sister little Jio, we understand your meaning. We have decided to ascend to the Tianyuan continent with you. The cultivation of the 3 of us can be said to have been very smooth. We have always been outstanding. It just so happens that we have lost some of the temperings of our temperament. It's not bad to suffer some hardships when we arrive at the Tianyuan continent." Feng Ming said seriously. Seeing that the 3 of them did not seem to be forced to speak, Yun Chujio nodded. "Senior brothers, don't worry. Although we will be the weakest when we first arrive at the Tianyuan continent, in less than 5 years, I will definitely let you reach the top of the Tianyuan continent." If Yun Chujio said these words 3 years ago, Feng Ming and the other 2 would think that there was something wrong with her head. However, after spending 3 years together and personally witnessing Yun Chujio's monstrous growth, the 3 of them firmly believed in her words. Junior sister little Jio would be able to do it. Chapter 941. Thunder Sex Medicine Shop time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. The spiritual power of Feng Ming and the other two had soared. At that time, they had already reached the peak of the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm. Yun Chujio thought that in less than a month, the four of them would be able to ascend. Some things should be arranged for the journey. Those days, Yun Chujio had been holed up in the courtyard as she refined a lot of medicinal pills. She decided to make a trip to Spirit Radiant City. First, she would meet her grandfather. Second, she would arrange a meeting with the members of the Thunder Sect. Yun Chujio first went to the Thunder Sect's medicine shop. There was a long queue outside the medicine shop. This was because Yun Chujio had asked Yu Hai and the others to implement hunger marketing. Every day, they would only sell elixirs to the top 100 customers. Moreover, there was a limit to the number of each type of elixir. People behaved predictably. The more they could not buy something, the more they wanted to buy it. Moreover, the elixirs sold by the Thunder Sect's medicine shop were either high-grade or super-grade. After eating them, it cleansed their bodies completely. It was worth it to pay a little extra. When everyone saw Yun Chujio, they greeted her one after another. Yun Chujio's deeds had almost spread across the entire Azure Mystic continent. Everyone was extremely respectful towards her. However, they did not know that Yun Chujio was the owner of the Thunder Sect's medicine shop. They only thought that the Spirit Radiance sect and the Thunder Sect's medicine shop had some dealings with each other. They thought to themselves, no wonder the Thunder Sect's medicine shop had so many high-grade elixirs. It turned out that they had connections with the Spirit Radiance sect. After Yun Chujio entered the back hall of the medicine shop, Yu Hai and the others hurriedly went forward to greet her. Yun Chujio waved her hand and took out a few large jars of medicinal pills. You guys keep these medicinal pills. When the time is ripe, you can open a few more branches. When Yu Hai and the others saw the few large jars of medicinal pills on the ground, they were so scared that they almost collapsed to the ground. Oh my God, it was already scary enough when they saw the sect leader use a basin to hold medicinal pills. They did not expect that this time, she would use a jar to hold medicinal pills. It was too strange. Now that the Thunder Sect medicinal shop's reputation has been established, all of you should also start recruiting some alchemists and sell some ordinary medicinal pills alongside the higher-end ones. This is to prevent any delays in replenishing the supply of medicinal pills after I ascend in the future. All of you can also maintain the business yourselves. Do you understand? Yu Hai nodded his head in agreement. Sect Master, how much longer do you have before you ascend to the Tian Yuan continent? About a month. When the Tian Yuan Academy is on holiday, I will come back and deliver the medicinal pills to you. She was just that confident. She had never considered what would happen if she could not enter the Tian Yuan Academy. After the business is on track, you can start establishing the sect. I have informed Master Xinyuan that if you have any problems in the future, you can seek help from the Spirit Radiance sect. After Yu Hai and the others nodded their heads in agreement, Yun Chujio gave some instructions before leaving the Thunder Sect's medicine shop and heading to the Yun residence. Grandfather! Grandfather! Little Jiao is here to see you. Did you miss me? Yun Chujio rushed into Yun Xiaoshan's study. Yun Xiaotian could not help but laugh when he saw Yun Chujio jumping into the room. You're already a big girl, why are you still like a child? Although Yun Xiaoan was scolding her, his tone was full of warmth. Little Jiao had become the hero of Azure Mystic Continent from a lowlife that everyone despised. It made him feel incredibly proud. Grandfather, even if I grow to be 100 years old, I will still be a little girl in front of you. Hee hee. Grandfather, the medicinal pills I gave you last time were not bad, right? I see that your spiritual power has increased a lot. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Yun Xiaotian smiled and nodded. Not bad. I originally thought that I would never be able to reach the level of a spirit cultivator in my life. I did not expect that after eating the medicine you gave me, I broke through. It seems that I have hope of achieving the level of a spirit cultivator. Chapter 942, The Love That Yun Chujio Wants. Grandfather, don't stop at Spirit Cultivator. You still have to ascend in the future. When the time comes, help me and the pretty boy take care of our child. He. Yun Chujia's words reminded Yun Xiaotian, "Little Jiao, grandfather wants to ask you what your plans are. In a few months, you will reach marriageable age. Are you considering getting engaged or getting married to that Baiming child?" "Grandfather, although he treats me well and we are in love, the gap between the two of us is too big. Although he doesn't care about things like spiritual power or family background, many others don't think the same way. Therefore, I have to work hard to become strong enough to stand side by side with him." "Silly child, since ancient times, haven't men been strong and the women weak? Isn't he also living a good life? A girl like you is more or less good enough." Yun Xiaotian said this not because he looked down on Yun Chujio, it was because he felt sorry for her. It was too hard for her to carry so much on her shoulders at such a young age. "Grandfather, I want our love to be equal. I don't want to be any of us to be superior. I don't want to be dependent on others. The love I want is for two people to have the same vision and the same language. This kind of love will become stronger and stronger over time. It won't fade with the deterioration of my appearance, and there won't be groundless speculation because of my inferiority complex." Yun Xiaotian was stunned. Although he could not understand what Yun Chujio was thinking, he knew that Yun Chujio had her own ideas. He could only say, "All right, since you have your own plans, then do as you wish. No matter what you do, grandfather will support you." Yun Chujio's heart warmed. Although the old man in front of her had no blood relationship with her, he had always been very kind to her. She would repay him well. Cough cough. "Little Gio, there was something that grandfather shouldn't have said. However, your mother wasn't around, so grandfather had no choice but to thicken his skin and tell you. Before you marry that Baiming child, don't do anything that you shouldn't do. If you marry him, you'll be his concubine. Don't let the Baiming family find fault with you." Yun Chujio nodded. She knew that Yun Xiaotian was doing this for her good. Not to mention anything else, with her current small body, she would not dare to do anything bad even if she wanted to. Yun Xiaotian only relaxed when he saw Yun Chujio nod her head. Although Yun Chujio had never told him about Di Baiming's family matters, he had lived for so long and was very worldly. That child's family background was probably complicated. In the future, he might not agree to the marriage between the two. If they were separated at that time, if they did not take the final step yet, little Gio would still be able to recover from it. The grandfather and granddaughter chatted for a long time. Yun Chujio only returned to the Spirit Radiance sect after dinner. A month later, Yun Chujio and Feng Ming reached the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Sovereign Realm at the same time. They were about to undergo the tribulation and ascend. Almost all the influential people in the Azure Mystic Continent had gathered in front of the Spirit Radiance sect's main gate. No one in the Azure Mystic Continent had ascended for thousands of years. They did not expect that 4 people in the Spirit Radiance sect would do it at once. Moreover, they were all young people who had not even reached the age of 25. It was an enviable situation. Originally, Yun Chujio had wanted the location of the ascension to be at the back of the middle peak. However, seeing that there were so many people gathered to watch, she had no choice but to change the location to the empty space in front of the Spirit Radiance sect. This way, it would be convenient for everyone to watch the ceremony without any potential collateral damage. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji also rushed over from the Tianyuan continent, afraid that Yun Chujio would have some mishaps along the way. Feng Ming and the other 2 were very anxious. To ascend, they needed to withstand 9 heavenly thunders. They were not confident in their hearts. This spiritual power had risen too quickly and they were not yet in full control of it. This feeling was similar to the feeling that although they had money in their pockets, they still felt like they had borrowed it. Chapter 943. A unique way to pass the heavenly tribulation. Junior sister Little Gio, how do you plan to help us resist the heavenly lightning during the trial? Feng Ming asked in a low voice. Don't worry, I'm always dealing with heavenly lightning. If it's a familiar cloud, they'll just bribe it. If it's a newbie, they'll have a way to provoke them. They hate me to the bone now. As long as I flirt with them a little, they won't care about you. When the time comes, you'll just have to hide further away. However, you'll probably have to suffer 1 or 2 lightning strikes at the very least. Otherwise, You won't be able to fool them, understand? Feng Ming and the other two nodded in agreement. Even so, they were still a little nervous as they waited anxiously for the arrival of the heavenly lightning. After a while, 4 Wu Yun drifted over from afar. It was clear that 1 Wu Yun was assigned to each one of them. Feng Ming and the other two were dumbfounded. 1 Wu Yun per person. It would not be so easy for junior sister little Jiao to cheat after all. They would not be directly struck to death, right? Yun Chujio glanced at the 4 Wu Yun in the sky. They were all young and new. Yun Chujio placed her hands on her hips and started to provoke them. Hey, are you guys planning to split up and attack me? If you guys all attack together, it won't work. I advise you guys to split up and attack me together. Otherwise, there will be no effect on me at all. Unexpectedly, the 4 Wu Yun did not pay attention to Yun Chujio. Instead, they obediently took their place above each person. With a rumble, 4 purple lightning bolts struck Yun Chujio and the other two. Yun Chujio did not feel anything much, so she did not care. Although Feng Ming and the other two were not injured, they had consumed a lot of spiritual power enduring the attack, so she was worried. Yun Chujio frowned. Something was not right. Why did these young Wu Yun not pay attention to her? It was extremely strange. What Yun Chujio did not know was that when Yun Chujio broke through to the 8th level of the spiritual emperor realm, those Wu Yun helped Yun Chujio destroy the godly devil hall. When they went back, they were criticized, saying that they had harmed innocents, and a few of them were destroyed. When they appeared for the trial, they had especially been warned that they were not allowed to make a mistake. Yun Chujio changed her tactics and cursed again. The second bolt of heavenly lightning still struck 4 people each. Feng Ming and the other two had to take another bolt of heavenly lightning. The 3 of them felt suffocated and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Yun Chujio frowned. This couldn't go on. Senior brother Feng Ming and the others could only withstand 5 bolts of lightning at most. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and had an idea. Yun Chujio summoned the 3 silly munchkins and stuffed one each into Feng Ming and the others' hands. You 3 take a few hits for them. Little Blackbird did not care. Little Black Rat and Little Red were stunned. They were about to say something, but Yun Chujio glared at them. How can you see the rainbow without experiencing the wind and rain? Your level is not high enough to ascend in the first place. You got this far because of me. It's time to earn your place. You won't die even if you take 3 or 5 hits. Stop wasting time. Little Black Rat and Little Red had no choice but to reluctantly lie on Geng Yi and Shi Xian's bodies, ready to help absorb the lightning strikes. Little Black Bird stood on Feng Ming's shoulder, looking as if it did not care at all. Not to mention 3 or 5 lightning bolts, even 30 lightning bolts would not be a problem for him now. Feng Ming and the other two knew that Yun Chujio's 3 spiritual pets were not ordinary ones, so they did not decline. With their help, they would definitely be able to endure all 9 lightning bolts. Feng Ming and the others were ready, but the 4 Wu Yun in the sky were dumbfounded. Chapter 944. A Strange Ascension Dam. This damned girl was too cunning. Those 3 spiritual beasts were on those 3 people. No matter how good their aim was, it was inevitable that they would miss. Moreover, even if they were aiming at those 3 people at the beginning, those 3 could still take the initiative to help get struck by the lightning. What should they do? Yun Chujio put her hands on her hips and said proudly, Hey, Wu Yun in the sky, listen up. If you know what's good for you, just strike me with all your might. Think about it. If I ascend to the Tianyuan continent, you will be free in the future. Without me, you can regain your former glory. If you provoke me, I will not be able to ascend today. I will end up scolding the old bastard Tiandao every 2 to 3 days. When that time comes, I will torture you to death. The 4 Wu Yun in the sky were at a loss. Yun Chujio's words were too tempting for them. It was because of this scourge that the Wu Yun's reputation as a whole was completely ruined. If she really went to the Tianyuan continent, would they be able to rebuild their reputation? However, if they did as she said, they would be punished when they returned. If they were not careful, they might even be destroyed. What should they do? At that moment, Yun Chujio sighed faintly. Sigh, I know it's not easy for you guys. If the heavenly lightning strikes me, it'll definitely be punished when I go back. How about this? It'll give you guys an idea. You can just do it normally. However, when you do it, you have to strike a person with a bolt of heavenly lightning and a spiritual pet with a bolt of heavenly lightning. Those three are my spiritual pets anyway, so it won't affect the innocents. How about it? The four Wu Yun thought about it and felt that it was the only way. Even if they did not agree, it was inevitable that they would not be able to strike their targets accurately. Thus, the four Wu Yun trembled and agreed to Yun Chujio's suggestion. Yun Chujio was very pleased in her heart. Little brats, you still want to fight me? I can easily take care of all of you. Thus, the three silly munchkins helped Feng Ming and the others to absorb half of the heavenly lightning. Although Feng Ming and the other two were heavily injured, they were still able to hold on. The four Wu Yun completed their mission and could not wait to float away. They wanted to tell all the Wu Yun that the scourge, Yun Chujio, was about to leave the Tianyuan continent. Their dark days were finally gone for good, and the little scourge was finally about to leave. At that moment, a halo appeared in front of Yun Chujio and the other three. As long as they stepped into the halo, the four of them would be directly teleported to the Tianyuan continent. Only ascenders had the opportunity to use such an ascension teleportation array. Yun Chujio smiled brightly at the crowd. Everyone, I'm going to the Tianyuan continent to terrorize them. Wait for my good news. When the time comes, you'll get some good stuff from the Tianyuan continent to sell to you. The corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. They initially thought that Yun Chujio meant to get some good stuff to give to them. They did not expect her to want to sell them the goods. This money grubber. However, even if she wanted to sell them, it was fine. The things in the Tianyuan continent must be much more advanced than those in the Azure Mystic continent, so it should be worth it. Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, see you in the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio waved her claws at Di Baiming and Shui Wuji. She had already made an agreement with Di Baiming not to announce their relationship in the Tianyuan continent for the time being to avoid unnecessary trouble. It would be bad if she attracted the attention of a few white lotuses. It would be better to wait until she had a firm footing. Only then did Yun Chujio, Feng Ming, and the other two step into the teleportation formation. A white light flashed and the four of them disappeared. At that moment, Master Xinyuan frowned. Strange. Wasn't there supposed to be a phenomenon after successfully ascending? For example, some immortal music, or flowers blooming. Why was there nothing other than the teleportation formation this time? Chapter 945. The Demon Wolf Master Xinyuan shook his head. Perhaps he was thinking too much, or maybe it was because thousands of years had passed, so the rules had changed. After 4 hours, Yun Chujio and the others finally came out of the teleportation array. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were stunned. They said that after ascending, they would be teleported to Xinyuan City. Why were they in a desert instead? Yun Chujio's heart sank. Di Baiming had already arranged for Infeng to pick them up in Xinyuan City. How did they end up here? Yun Chujio took out a sound transmission talisman and wanted to ask Di Baiming what was going on. She did not expect that the sound transmission talisman could not be used. Yun Chujio had a bad premonition. She took out the chopping board and tried it. As expected, it could not be used either. Junior sister Little Gio, didn't you say that after ascending, the injuries on your body from the lightning tribulation will heal themselves? Why haven't our injuries recovered? Feng Ming asked in puzzlement. Yun Chujio took out 3 heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and handed them to Feng Ming and the other two. Then, she said, I'm afraid that you guys have been implicated by me. It should be Tian Dao who is causing trouble. We can only think of a way to escape this desert by ourselves and then head to Xinyuan City. After Feng Ming and the other two took the pills, half their injuries instantly recovered. Shi Xian said with a smile, Junior sister Little Gio, what do you mean by not being implicated? The 4 of us will be friends through life and death in the future. There's no need for such polite words. Senior brother Shi Xian, I naturally won't be polite with you. You might be my 7th brother-in-law in the future. Yun Chujio could always maintain an optimistic attitude. Even if the current situation was so terrible, She could still think of a way to brighten up the atmosphere. Shi Xian's face went slightly red. Your seventh sister hasn't given me her word yet. I'll need junior sister little Jio's help in the future. Senior brother Shi Xian, don't worry. My seventh sister has doted on me since I was young. As long as you perform well, I'll put in a few good words for you. Yun Chujio shamelessly ignored her dark history. Shi Xian did not know about her history, so he believed her. Then I'll have to trouble junior sister little Jio. Yun Chujio was secretly happy. Usually, Shi Xian was the most astute of the three. She did not expect him to be so foolish when he met her seventh sister. Just as the four of them were chatting and laughing, they suddenly felt a powerful pressure. Yun Chujio could endure it, but Feng Ming and the other two felt their chests tighten and they could not breathe. The four of them looked ahead warily. They saw a huge demonic beast pouncing towards them. Yun Chujio and the others had a better understanding of the demonic beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent, but they knew nothing about the demonic beasts of the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio and the others had no idea what kind of demonic beast this was. They did not know what level of spiritual power it was, but one thing was for sure, this demonic beast's spiritual power level was much higher than the four of them. This demonic beast looked very similar to a wolf. It was probably a type of demonic wolf. The demonic wolf's eyes were filled with greed. It drooled as it looked at Yun Chujio and the others. In its eyes, these four weaklings were like a free lunch. I'll test its strength first. If we can beat it, we'll fight it head-on. If we can't, I'll hold it back. You guys run, then I'll catch up to you, Yun Chujio said to Feng Ming and the other two in a low voice. Feng Ming and the other two knew that Yun Chujio's head was full of bad ideas, and they were used to listening to Yun Chujio's arrangements, so they simply nodded and did not raise any objections. Yun Chujio giggled at the demonic wolf. Hey, little dog. Can you understand human language? Chapter 946. The powerful demon wolf. The demon wolf understood human language. It roared angrily, Fuck! You are the dog. Your whole family are dogs. When Yun Chujio found that the demon wolf could understand her, she immediately felt confident. As long as you can understand human language, I can fool around with you even if you are a demon wolf. Little puppy, we just descended to the Tianyuan continent and we met you. This must be fate. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The demon wolf looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. No wonder she was so weak. It turned out that she had just ascended. However, didn't they say that no one had ascended for thousands of years? Why did four of them suddenly ascend? And they were all so young? However, I don't care if you ascended or not. How dare you call me a dog? I will eat you all. Little puppy, you must have never eaten any demon beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent in your life, right? Don't you want to taste them? Yun Chujio continued to speak calmly. The demon wolf was slightly interested. Regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, they were all curious. In particular, the more intelligent a demon beast was, the more human it would be, and the more curious it would be. After seeing the change in the demon wolf's expression, Yun Chujio took out a windblade ox carcass from her storage ring and threw it toward the demon wolf. The demon wolf hesitated for a moment and took a small bite. When it realized that there was no poison in it, so it took a larger bite. It felt that the taste was average. The higher the level of the demon beast, the better it tasted. This windblade ox was too low level, so it did not taste very good. Therefore, the demon wolf ate half of the leg and stopped eating. Yun Chujio calmly threw out a big piece of bloodthirsty sword shark meat. Little puppy, try the taste of the demon beast in the sea. I guess you haven't eaten demon beasts from the sea? After the demon wolf had tasted the taste of the windblade ox meat, it had lost interest in the demon beasts of the Azure Mystic Continent. However, when it heard that it was a sea beast, it immediately became curious. It had never eaten a demon beast from the sea, so it was curious on what it tasted like. After the demon wolf smelled that there was no poison, it took a bite. The bloodthirsty sword shark was a level 13 sea beast. Although its level was not as high as the demon wolf's, the spiritual energy contained in its meat was still relatively rich. Moreover, it was a sea beast that the demon wolf had never eaten before, therefore, The demon wolf swallowed a large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat in just a few bites. The demon wolf was not satisfied with the meal. It rolled its eyes and roared at Yun Chujio a few times. Yun Chujio quickly threw out another large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat. The demon wolf ate the entire piece and then roared at Yun Chujio a few times. Yun Chujio threw out another large piece of the bloodthirsty sword shark meat. The demon wolf ate 5 large pieces of the bloodthirsty sword shark meat in a row and then stopped. The sea beast meat was nothing much. Its eyes revealed a greedy light. It was ready to bite Yun Chujio and the others to death so that it could move on to the next meal. A faint light flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. "Little puppy, you still want to eat us? Let's see who laughs last." Just as the demon wolf was about to pounce on Yun Chujio and the other 3, Yun Chujio shouted, "Wait, little puppy, aren't you changing your face too quickly? As the saying goes, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You've eaten so many of my things, yet you still want to eat us. Don't you have a dog's face?" The demon wolf howled in anger, "I'm not a dog, I'm a wolf. I will devour you for that insult." The demon wolf opened its mouth and hundreds of wind blades flew towards Yun Chujio and the other 3. Feng Ming and the other 2 were far away, so they easily dodged the wind blades. Although Yun Chujio was not injured, she was left in a difficult position. She was in awe. The demon beasts of the Tianyuan continent were shockingly powerful. It seemed that they were indeed the weakest beings in the Tianyuan continent. Chapter 947. Good women don't fight dogs. When the demon wolf saw that Yun Chujio had dodged its wind blades, a trace of surprise flashed in its eyes. It thought that Yun Chujio was so weak that she could be killed with one move, but it did not expect that she had dodged all the blades. The demon wolf opened its mouth again, and hundreds of wind blades shot out again. However, this time, they were all aimed at Yun Chujio alone. It hated Yun Chujio so much when she called it a dog. It was a disgrace to a wolf to be treated like a dog. Yun Chujio relied on her agility and defensive spirit tools to dodge the demon wolf's attack. Before the demon wolf could launch another attack, Yun Chujio waved her left and right hands repeatedly, and a few purple lightning bolts struck the demon wolf's face. The demon wolf jumped to the side and dodged Yun Chujio's attack. The demon wolf was shocked. It was a heavenly thunder root spirit. No wonder she had ascended to the Tianyuan continent at such a young age. Although the demon wolf was a little surprised, it did not take it to heart. Although this little girl had a heavenly thunder root spirit, her level was too low. Even if it was struck by her, it would not cause too much damage. Today, these people were fated to be its dinner. Suddenly, Yun Chujio shouted, "Run!" Feng Ming and the other 2 turned around and began to run. The demon wolf looked at them with contempt and thought, "I will kill that little girl first and then go after the other 3. They will not be able to run far." The demon wolf continued to attack Yun Chujio while coming up with its own plan. After Yun Chujio barely dodged its attacks, she continued to attack the demon wolf with lightning. The demon wolf was very disdainful. Its body was strong and it only needed to dodge to avoid appearing weak. Such weak lightning was not a big deal to it. "Stupid girl, accept your death." Yun Chujio barely managed to hold on for less than 15 minutes. The defensive spiritual tool on her body cracked and shattered into more than 10 pieces, which left her barely injured. At that moment, the demon wolf spat out hundreds of wind blades again. While Yun Chujio dodged, she threw a big sack at the demon wolf and ran away. The big sack was cut into pieces by the wind blades, and the chili inside immediately scattered in all directions. Yun Chujio was mentally prepared. She ran while holding her breath, while the demon wolf was in trouble. No matter how high its rank was, it could not stand the pungent smell. It choked until tears flowed down its face, and it sneezed continuously. What annoyed it most was that the little girl's arrogant voice came from afar. "Little puppy, a good woman doesn't fight with dogs. Goodbye." The demon wolf was so angry that its eyes turned red. It also choked from the chili but still chased after Yun Chujio. Feng Ming and the other 2 were worried about Yun Chujio, so they did not run too far. When they saw Yun Chujio's figure approaching, they continued running with all their strength. Although the 4 of them used all their strength, in less than an hour, the demon wolf gradually closed the distance. It roared as it chased them. There were also some demonic beasts below level 14 in that desert. Initially, when they saw Yun Chujio and the others, they wanted to attack them. However, when they heard the demonic wolf's furious howl, they immediately ran away with their tails tucked between their legs. Junior sister Little Gio, we can't escape like this. There's nothing in this desert except sand. There's no place to hide even if we want to. Feng Ming said while panting heavily. Don't worry, don't worry. Let's hold on for a while longer. They'll have a way to deal with it. A trace of cunning flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. Feng Ming and the other two were puzzled. Junior sister Gio was not bragging, right? That demon wolf's strength was so monstrous, what method could she have to deal with it? If she had a plan, would she still have to escape in such a sorry state? At that moment, the demon wolf behind them had already caught up. It roared at the four people. Then, it saw that the little girl had not run anymore. She stopped and turned her head to look at it with a smile. Chapter 948. The demon wolf who died with a grievance. The demon wolf was stunned. Why did this little girl stop running? She was even smiling at me. Is she crazy? Little puppy, I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, if you anger me, things won't end well for you. I'm very cruel. Yun Chujio hugged her shoulders and said smugly. The demon wolf almost laughed out of anger. This little girl was most likely suffering from hysteria. She was having a seizure. The demon wolf snorted in disdain and opened his mouth, shooting hundreds of wind blades at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio smiled coldly and summoned 5 immortal swords, stabbing them at the demon wolf's eyes, ears, and nose. The demon wolf was shocked. This little girl was very strange. It was fine if she had a heavenly thunder root spirit, but how could she command 5 flying swords at the same time? Even a spirit saint could not do it. How could a weak little chicken at the first level of the spirit sect have such a strong spiritual sense? The demon wolf did not dare to be negligent. Although its body was strong, the parts that were targeted by the 5 immortal swords were the most vulnerable parts of its body. It had to dodge them. Yun Chujio relied on the 5 immortal swords to hold on for less than 15 minutes. More than a dozen of the defensive spirit tools on Yun Chujio's body cracked and shattered, which left her barely injured. The demon wolf's eyes flashed with pride. The little girl could not hold on for much longer. Although she was a little strange, she was still weak. She should just die. Unexpectedly, the little girl said faintly, "It's almost time. Little puppy, don't you feel that there's something wrong?" The demon wolf was stunned. It did not know what Yun Chujio meant, but it immediately knew because it realized that its spiritual power was rapidly flowing away. This must be because she had done something to the demon beast meat just now. Damn it. It had to end the battle as soon as possible and try to kill these 4 people before its spiritual power disappeared. The demon wolf went berserk. At that time, Yun Chujio let Feng Ming and the other 2 join the battle, and the 4 people began to besiege the demon wolf. Although the spiritual power of Feng Ming and the other 2 was not yet stable, they were still at the first level of the spirit sect. In addition to the decrease in the spiritual power of the demon wolf, the 4 people barely lasted another 15 minutes with the demon wolf. Fortunately, the drug took effect, and the spiritual power of the demon wolf became weaker and weaker. The 4 of them finally had the upper hand. An hour later, the demon wolf was finally killed by the 4 of them. It never thought that it would be killed by 4 weak chickens at the first level of the spirit sect. It did not even fully close its eyes until it died. Yun Chujio put the corpse of the demon wolf into the spiritual beast bag and then said to Feng Ming and the other 3, "The smell of blood here is too strong. It would be bad if other demon beasts were attracted. Let's leave this place quickly." The group went in the opposite direction from where the wolf came from. They ran dozens of miles away in one breath and then collapsed on the ground, panting heavily. The 4 people's hearts were covered with a layer of shadow. That demonic wolf should not be considered a high-level demonic beast in the Tianyuan continent, but even such a low-level demonic beast had reduced the 4 of them to such a sorry state. If it had not been for its lack of vigilance and accidentally eating the soul-devouring powder, they would probably be in deep trouble. The desert was so vast that there was no end to it. They did not know what other demon beasts they would encounter. They would not die here, would they? The weather in the desert was very hot. The sun scorched them above their heads. Yun Chujio had the strange grass secrete 3 drops of refreshing beads and handed them to Feng Ming and the other 2. The 3 of them miraculously discovered that with those beads, their bodies had become cooler. The 4 of them rested for a moment and ate some food before continuing on their journey. They tried their best to travel more during the day, but they absolutely could not travel at night. At night, it was when the demon beasts run amok. Chapter 949. Wolf Pack. The next half-day went smoothly. Although they encountered a few demonic beasts, they were all below level 14 and did not pose a threat to the 4 of them. However, Yun Chujio was very uneasy. Wolves had always lived in groups. Today, they only encountered 1 demon wolf at noon. It was unusual. Either that demonic wolf was a lone wolf that was driven out by the wolf pack, or it was sent out to look for food. If it was the former, it would be easier to deal with it. If it was the latter, it would be bad. The wolf's desire for revenge was extremely strong. If they were targeted by the wolf pack, they would most likely be in deep trouble. At night, everyone found a slightly raised sand dune. They lit a bonfire at the back and took turns to be on guard. They began to rest. At midnight, Feng Ming, who was in charge of the guard, woke up Yun Chujio and the other 2 in fear. Yun Chujio looked in the direction that Feng Ming pointed to and saw several dark blue eyes staring at them fiercely. Only when they got closer did she realize that there were 15 demon wolves. 3 words flashed across their minds. They were dead for sure. Just 1 demon wolf in the morning had taken everything they had to kill it. Now that there were 15 of them, how could they survive? Yun Chujio could not help but smile bitterly. What she feared had come true. 1 of them could be killed with a little trickery. Now that 15 of them had come at once, there was nothing she could do no matter how hard she tried. Now, she had no other choice but to fight them head-on. Yun Chujio observed for a moment. There was a wolf in the southeast corner that was slightly smaller in size. It should be the one with the weakest spiritual power. She could only try to find a breakthrough point there and then run away. Yun Chujio whispered her plan to Feng Ming and the other 2. After Feng Ming and the other 2 heard it, the 4 of them immediately trembled, looking like they were scared out of their wits. The demon wolf pack howled. These 4 humans were too timid. They were already so scared before they even attacked. They were too weak. Just as the demon wolf pack was feeling proud, Yun Chujio and the other 3 suddenly attacked the demon wolf in the southeast corner. The demon wolf was the youngest and was laughing at the humans along with the other demon wolves. They did not expect Yun Chujio and the other 3 to suddenly attack it. When it saw several spiritual attacks coming towards it, it subconsciously dodged to the side. Yun Chujio and the others immediately jumped through the gap and ran for their lives. Yun Chujio threw out the demon beast corpses as she ran, hoping she could delay them for a while. She did not expect the demon wolves to be so cunning. They left 2 demon wolves to guard the corpses, while the other demon wolves continued to pursue Yun Chujio and the others. These demon wolves had always lived in the desert. Their running speed was much faster than Yun Chujio and the other 3. The wolves soon caught up to them. Yun Chujio used the same trick again. She threw a few sacks of chili and pepper noodles. Although she initially distracted a few demon wolves, they soon stopped falling for her tricks. Yun Chujio and the other 3 were once again encircled by the wolf pack. Yun Chujio had already used up all her dirty tricks. The 4 of them could only fight head-on. Yun Chujio also released Little Black Bird, Little Black Rat, and Little Red. They engaged in a chaotic battle with the pack of demon wolves. Whether it was in terms of numbers or strength, there was a huge gap between the 2 sides. Soon, Feng Ming and the other 2 were injured, and the demon wolves became even more rabid when they smelled fresh blood. Yun Chujio threw a few bottles of heaven-grade blood coagulation pills and exploding spirit pills to Feng Ming and the other 2. After the 3 of them consumed them, they barely managed to hold on. 15 minutes later, Feng Ming and the other 2 had already fallen to the ground with serious injuries. The demon wolf pounced on them and was about to bite them when Yun Chujio suddenly remembered that there was a protective array in her storage ring. She quickly activated the protective array. Chapter 950. The black bead that awaited death. What she did not expect was that the protective array that could be considered a life-saving method in the Azure Mystic continent was broken through by the demon wolves in less than half an hour. Fortunately, Yun Chujio obtained a few protective arrays and quickly activated them one by one. Yun Chujio took advantage of the gap in the fighting to think of a way through their predicament. No matter what, she could not just accept her fate. She had to think of a way to escape. However, the more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that there was no way to survive. She had already used all the methods that she could. The Great Void Mirror could only produce demon beasts below level 9. They were too weak, so it would be useless. Under the pressure of those demon wolves, they would immediately collapse to the ground. It would not be of any use at all. Furry had a limited number of sticky silk nets. Moreover, this was a sandy land, so the sticky silk nets would not be of much use. There were some poisonous pills, but these demonic wolves were very shrewd. They would hold their breath when she raised her hand, and it was of no use at all. Could it be that they could only await their deaths? Little mirror, can you let us enter the Great Void Mystic Realm? Yun Chujio asked the Great Void Mirror with her consciousness. The Great Void Mirror swayed, and Yun Chujio sighed. As expected, it still could not do it. Only the strange grass in her dantian could be of some use. The other two were completely useless. The Great Void Mirror could at least provide some low-level demon beasts and spiritual herbs. Only that damn black bead, other than eating, could do nothing else. It was a fucking glutton. The black bead seemed to have sensed Yun Chujio's resentment, and it trembled with pride, showing off its power. Yun Chujio was so angry that she cursed, "Fuck! Glass ball, don't be so proud. If I die, you can eat dirt in this desert." The black bead trembled indifferently as if it had nothing to do with Yun Chujio's impending death. Yun Chujio was so angry that she almost hit the wall. She thought that if she provoked it, the black bead would burst out with some mysterious power. She did not expect it to be a good-for-nothing, just waiting to die. She was so angry that she almost died from frustration. At the critical moment, she could not count on any of them. What should she do? At that time, Yun Chujio only had the last protective disc in her hand. She was not willing to use it immediately and was prepared to only use it at the critical moment. After a short rest, Feng Ming and the other two had recovered some of their physical strength and spiritual power. The four of them once again started to fight with the demon wolf pack. Although the four of them and two beasts were fighting with their lives, the difference in strength was too great. Little Black Rat and Little Red were the first to fall to the ground. Yun Chujio had no choice but to put the two of them into her spirit beast bag. Soon after, Feng Ming and the other two fell to the ground with injuries even more serious than the previous time. The three of them felt that they were really done for. There was no way for them to survive. Yun Chujio was also cut by the demon wolf's wind blades. However, she had the strange grass healing and she fared slightly better than Feng Ming and the others. However, she could only parry the attacks and did not have the strength to fight back. Junior sister Little Gio, just leave us. You can escape by yourself. There might be a chance for you to survive. Feng Ming screamed. Junior sister Little Gio was agile. Without the three of them holding her back, she might be able to escape. Yun Chujio ignored him and continued to do her best to protect Feng Ming and the other two. The Wolf King was a little impatient. It thought that the four weaklings would be taken down soon, but they had been delayed repeatedly. It was embarrassing. The Wolf King roared angrily and the demon wolf pack intensified their attacks. Yun Chujio could not hold on any longer. A demon wolf opened its bloody mouth and was about to bite Yun Chujio's left leg. Fortunately, the little black bird immediately cursed. The demon wolf staggered and was stabbed in the eyes by Yun Chujio's immortal sword. Only then did it retreat. At the critical moment of life and death, the little black bird shouted, "Master, little black bird," and the others said that they want to help you take care of the pack of wolves. Chapter 951. What were those things? Yun Chujio quickly activated the last protective disc and took out an ancient jade vase from her spirit beast pouch. The 4 remnant soul lords floated out of the ancient jade vase. Feng Ming and the other 2 were dumbfounded when they saw this. Oh my god, weren't these remnant souls from the ancient sword tomb? How did they end up with junior sister little Geo? Aren't you guys worn out after leaving the ancient jade vase? How are you going to help me? Yun Chujio asked in puzzlement. After Fu Ao and the other 3 condensed their bodies, they smiled bitterly and said, "Little girl, we are now on the same boat. It's night now, so the Yin Qi is stronger. We can hold on for a while longer." Yun Chujio had no alternative. She could only take out the various ancient jade vases from the spirit beast pouch and uncorked the bottles one by one. Thousands of remnant souls floated out and quickly condensed into human form. Those demon wolves were all dumbfounded. Damn, what were those things? Remnant souls? Remnant souls? Didn't this thing summon heavenly thunder? Why did the little girl have so many remnant souls too? This doesn't make sense. Time was tight. Yun Chujio waved her hands and thousands of remnant souls rushed towards the demon wolf pack. The demon wolf pack did not wait to fight and already intended to retreat. They had never fought with these things before, not to mention that there were so many of them. Although their spiritual power was not as high as ours, those things were fleeting and they really couldn't attack. The Wolf King roared a few times, and the wolf pack ran away without fighting. Yun Chujio did not dare delay and quickly led the remnant souls back into the ancient jade vase, and then put the ancient jade vase into the spirit beast pouch. Senior brother Feng Ming, you guys clean up the blood on your bodies. We have to leave this place immediately. The wolf pack is only intimidated, and they will likely catch up again. Although Feng Ming and the other 2 had many questions, they knew that it was not the time to ask them. After swallowing the pill, they used the cleaning spell and the 4 of them resumed running. What the 4 of them did not notice was that some Wu Yun had started to gather in the distance and drifted towards them. However, with the cover of the night and the 4 of them being in a hurry to escape, they did not notice. The 4 of them ran for more than 2 hours. When they saw that no demon wolves had not chased them, they panted heavily and collapsed on the ground. At that moment, they realized how weak they were. Originally, the 4 of them were considered to be at the top of the tower in the Azure Mystic Continent. They did not expect that they would end up at the bottom of the food chain in the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio was still slightly better. She had already gotten used to it. However, it was difficult for Feng Ming and the other 2 to get used to the disparity in strength in their hearts. Although Yun Chujio's words had prepared them mentally when they met, their hearts were still a little uncomfortable, so they could only slowly get used to it. Junior sister little Geo, aren't those remnant souls from the ancient sword tomb? Feng Ming asked curiously. Yun Chujio nodded. Yes, I was the one who brought them out. Senior brothers, regardless of whether it's the pills I gave you or the remnant souls, you must keep it a secret. Otherwise, it will bring us trouble. Junior sister little Geo, don't worry. We know what to do. Feng Ming and the other 2 nodded solemnly. Even if Yun Chujio did not remind them, they knew what to say and what not to say. Just as the 4 of them were talking, the roar of a beast came from afar again. It was different from a wolf's howl from before. This time, it was a tiger's howl. The 4 of them could not help but smile bitterly. They had just left the wolf's den and entered a tiger's den. The 4 people had no chance to escape because 10 giant tigers had already surrounded them. Chapter 952. Whose subordinates are you? The pressure from these demon tigers was even stronger than the demon wolves from before. Yun Chujio's heart was once again covered with a layer of doubt. The remnant souls had just come out to chase off the wolves, and their bodies had already become increasingly faint. If she released them again, some of the weak souls would probably dissipate. She had already brought them out of the ancient sword tomb. If she allowed them to lose their lives just to save her, she would feel uneasy. The 10 demon tigers slowly drew closer. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and decided to fool them for a while. At the very least, it would give Feng Ming and the other 2 some time to recover, hence, she smiled coldly at the Tiger King. Little kitten, the little puppy did not dare to do anything to us. Are you going to take the risk? The Tiger King looked around in confusion. Little kitten? Where did this cat come from in the desert? Suddenly, it reacted. This little girl was talking about me. Was little puppy referring to the demon wolf king from before? The tiger king glared at Yun Chujio fiercely and opened its bloody mouth to roar. Yun Chujio had an unimpressed expression and she did not even retreat. Her tone was still cold. You guys should be smarter than those puppies, right? After all, your levels are higher than theirs. The tiger king arrogantly raised its head and thought, what nonsense. Naturally, we're much smarter than those stupid wolves. If that's the case, why are you still surrounding us? We don't need bodyguards. Why aren't you leaving yet? Yun Chujio waved her hands at the group of tigers. The group of tigers subconsciously took a few steps back. The Tiger King was so angry that he roared twice. Fuck, are you my subordinates or this stinky girls? She said to retreat and you guys just retreated. A few demon tigers dejectedly took a few more steps forward and glared fiercely at Yun Chujio. It was all because of this stinky girl that they were fooled. The Tiger King's big eyeballs rolled around. These 4 humans had indeed run over from the demon wolf's territory. Logically speaking, they were weak, so how did they escape? Could there be something fishy? Yun Chujio saw that the Tiger King was a little suspicious. She then said, Little kitten, we don't interfere with each other's business. We are just passing by, there is no conflict at all. If you let us go, I will not treat you unfairly. I will give you some demon beast meat, I guarantee that you will be full. It is better than eating the 4 of us skinny people, right? The Tiger King rolled his eyes, wondering if the demon wolves earlier was bought over by the little girl's demon beast meats? How stupid of them. The demon beast meat naturally would be eaten, and the 4 humans would then be dessert. The Tiger King glanced at Yun Chujio and then roared a few times. Yun Chujio quickly took out a few large pieces of the bloodthirsty sword shark's meat. She did not do anything this time because this Tiger King was much smarter than the lone wolf. She did not want to make things worse. These demon tigers had never eaten the flesh of sea beasts before. When they ate it out of the blue, they felt that the taste was very strange, so they fought each other for a chance to eat more. However, the Tiger King was very vigilant. He kept 2 tigers watching Yun Chujio and the others, afraid that they would take the opportunity to escape. Although there was a lot of bloodthirsty sword shark meat, it was not enough to feed all the demon tigers. Soon it was almost gone. When Yun Chujio saw that Feng Ming and the other 2 had almost recovered, she gave them a look and the 4 of them suddenly ran forward. The 2 demon tigers on guard had watched the other demon tigers eat and did not pay attention to Yun Chujio and the other 2 when they escaped. The Tiger King was so angry that he roared and mauled the 2 careless tigers. Then he led his subordinates in pursuit of the 4. Chapter 953. Such wickedness. Yun Chujio wanted to cry, but no tears came out. After ascending, people would go shopping and enjoy the scenery. Instead, she was put in life-or-death situations one after the other. The Tiger King roared from behind. It had always thought of itself as smart, but today, it was deceived by a little girl. One could imagine how embarrassed and angry it was. In just 15 minutes, Yun Chujio and the other 3 were once again surrounded by the group of tigers. Junior sister little Jio, I'm afraid we really can't escape now, Gungi said while panting. They could barely stand, let alone fight a group of tigers. Yun Chujio's physical strength was slightly better than theirs, but she had no idea how to escape at all. The chili and pepper noodles were already used to deal with the demon wolf just now, and the remaining items she had were of no use. This time, there was no way out. The Tiger King approached Yun Chujio step by step. Fuck, it had to eat this little girl first. It was enraged at being lied to so casually. Just as Yun Chujio was about to summon her 5 immortal swords to fight the Tiger King to the death, a bolt of purple lightning as thick as an adult's arm suddenly flew from the thick clouds in the sky, heading straight for Yun Chujio. The Tiger King was almost scared to death. With a whoosh, it retreated hundreds of feet away. The other demon tigers also dodged it. This heavenly lightning was no joke. Once it struck the body, it would either kill or injure it. Yun Chujio's heart was filled with joy. The lightning in the Tianyuan continent was much cuter than the lightning in the Azure Mystic continent. Came at the right time. Ha! The Tiger King saw that not only did Yun Chujio not dodge, but she was also laughing foolishly. He thought to himself, could this little girl have lost her mind from being scared silly? This strike would at least take away half of her life. At that time, it would not be too late to eat her. However, something that made it dumbfounded happened. Although the lightning struck the little girl's body, nothing happened to her. Moreover, she seemed to be very comfortable. How was this possible? The Tiger King blinked his eyes with great effort. At the time, a second bolt of heavenly lightning also fell from the clouds. It still struck the little girl. The little girl still did not dodge and happily allowed the heavenly lightning to hit her repeatedly. Just as the Tiger King was in a daze, he saw the little girl give a mischievous smile. Then she happily jumped towards him. The Tiger King immediately understood what Yun Chujio meant and was so angry that he almost fainted. This damn little girl was really wicked. She was planning to let the heavenly lightning strike it to death. It was too wicked. The Tiger King was so scared that he repeatedly dodged. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Little kitten, don't run. Didn't you want to eat me? Come and eat me now." The Tiger King wanted to kill this damn girl with a swipe of its claw. However, when it saw the lightning and the heavenly power contained in it, it retreated hundreds of feet with its tail tucked between its legs. Yun Chujio did not chase after it. Instead, she glanced at the other demon tigers with ill intentions. Those demon tigers were so scared that they did not bother surrounding Yun Chujio and the other three. They also fled alongside the Tiger King. Yun Chujio hooked her finger at the Tiger King. "Little kitten, come on. There won't be such a free meal like us after this. If you don't eat me, I will leave." The Tiger King was so angry that it howled. It thought to itself, "Don't be so smug. After the lightning stops, I will chase after you and eat you." Yun Chujio naturally understood this point. When Feng Ming and the other two recovered a little, she would let them run as far as possible. She would use the power of lightning to discourage the group of tigers from giving chase. At that moment, Wu Yun in the sky was also dumbfounded. When did such a monster appear in the Tianyuan continent? It had already struck her 7 or 8 times, but why was she completely fine? Chapter 954. The little beauty had turned bald. The Wu Yun in the sky had never met such a strange person. Even if some other mighty figures could withstand several bolts of lightning, they should be sitting cross-legged and meditating, as if they were facing a great enemy. When had it ever met a strange one who was not afraid but was jumping around happily? The Wu Yun was getting a little competitive. It had to protect the dignity of their heavenly lightning. No matter what, it had to kill this scourge today. Therefore, the thunder kept on rumbling. One after another, heavenly lightning bolts struck down towards Yun Chujio. Although the heavenly lightning was much thicker than the heavenly lightning in the Azure Mystic Continent, it did not matter to Yun Chujio. The more lightning struck, the better. It was easier to scare the tigers. The Tiger King and its underlings were indeed scared silly. Oh my God! Was this little girl human? Even a spirit paragon could not withstand so many heavenly lightning bolts. Moreover, she was so happy as if she had struck gold. It was too scary for the tigers. Although the Tiger King was unwilling to leave, the Wu Yun seemed like it would not stop until the little girl was struck to death. It was terrified of what might happen if it stayed there. Oh my God, it was better for them to leave while they could. If that Wu Yun could not kill the little girl, it would be bad if it got frustrated and targeted the tigers instead. Therefore, the Tiger King commanded its underlings to escape and ran away with its tail between its legs. When Yun Chujio saw that the Tiger King had left, she calmed down and ran after Feng Ming and the other two. The Wu Yun in the sky had misunderstood. It had thought that Yun Chujio was afraid of it and followed Yun Chujio closely. Yun Chujio was overjoyed. The Wu Yun in the Tianyuan continent was really cute. It was like a free bodyguard. With the protection of the heavenly lightning, which demon beast would dare to provoke her? The Wu Yun in the sky did not know what Yun Chujio was planning. If it knew, it would probably die from anger. Feng Ming and the other two heard the Wu Yun approaching. They turned around and saw Yun Chujio had winked at them, signaling them to run. Feng Ming and the other two felt as if 100 divine beasts were chasing them. The only one who could abuse the Wu Yun like this was junior sister little Jiao, the little devil. When the demon beasts in the desert heard the endless thunder, they were so scared that they hid in their nests, afraid that they would be struck by the heavenly lightning. Therefore, Yun Chujiao and the rest did not encounter any demon beasts. However, they did not dare to be careless. Who knew when the heavenly lightning would stop striking? They had to take this good opportunity to leave the desert as soon as possible. The four of them ran as fast as they could. The more they did so, the more the Wu Yun in the sky felt that Yun Chujiao was afraid. In addition, they were not convinced, so they continued to strike from the second half of the night until the sky was bright. Yun Chujiao saw the green grass in front of her from afar. She was delighted. It seemed that they were about to leave the desert. It would be safe if they walked on grass again. The thunder gradually became more and more sparse, and the lightning bolts became thinner and thinner. The Wu Yun in the sky eventually floated away. However, it grew to hate Yun Chujiao in its heart. That damn scourge. If there was a next time, she would be struck to death. Feng Ming and the other two surrounded her happily. Little Jiao, are you okay? Yun Chujiao touched her head and said with a bitter face, I'm fine except for one thing. I forgot to tie my handkerchief to my head in my panic earlier. Now a little beauty has become bald. Feng Ming and the other two looked at Yun Chujia's bald head and laughed. Then, they quickly held back their laughter, afraid that Yun Chujiao would take revenge on them. Like the little black bird, little Jiao was a vengeful person. Chapter 955. Anyone can see that you are beautiful. Yun Chujiao glared at them. After applying the hair growth pill on her head, she took out a handkerchief and tied it to her head. She still had two small tails behind her, which were trembling. Junior sister little Jiao, you are now a natural beauty. You still look like a little beauty this way, Feng Ming said in a flattering manner. Shi Xian also quickly said, yes, junior sister little Jiao. Some people say beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but for a peerless beauty like you, anyone can see you are naturally beautiful. Yun Chujiao touched her chin. Senior brother Shi Xian, why does this word sound so familiar? It sounds like something I told seventh sister. How did you know? Shi Xian laughed dryly. It's a coincidence. Pure coincidence. Yun Chujiao curled her lips. Let's rest for a while, then continue on our journey. We'll have a good rest when we reach the town. Feng Ming and the other two nodded. After eating some pills, they ate what food they had and began to meditate on the spot to rest. At that moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the distance. The laughter of young men and women could also be heard. Yun Chujia's heart was filled with a mix of joy and worry. Seeing a cultivator meant that this place should not be far from the town. However, she did not know what kind of person they were. It was common for cultivators to kill and steal treasures from others. The four of them had such weak spiritual energy too, so it was inevitable that they would be bullied. Yun Chujiao decided to remain still and did not move. She glanced at the person from the corner of her eyes. About 10 people walked over from the distance. Men and women were chatted and laughed. The atmosphere was very harmonious. The men were handsome while the women were charming. They were all good-looking. The clothes they wore were not uniform, so they should not be from the same faction. They should only be on good terms with each other. That was why they came out to train together. At that moment, those people also saw Yun Chujiao and the other three. Feng Ming and the other two were also very outstanding. Although Yun Chujiao did not have hair, her skin was as white as snow. Her exquisite facial features also made people's eyes light up. However, when they realized that the four of them were only at the first level of the spirit sect, immediately, they no longer had any intention of befriending them. A few of them even curled their lips and said with a sneer, "You have grown a good bag of skin for nothing. You four good-for-nothings." If Feng Ming and the other two had heard someone say this in the past, they would have confronted them. However, Yun Chujiao had already given them some food for thought. Therefore, although they felt indignant in their hearts, they did not say anything and continued to meditate and rest. Not only is their spiritual power bad, their ears are not working well. Tiske, How pitiful. Please. What do you mean your ears are not working well? This is called being sensible. They are smart. If they dare provoke us, I will cripple them. Exactly, such trash can be beaten with a single finger. However, in front of us is the flaming desert. Could it be that these 4 people want to enter the flaming desert? Forget it. With trash like them, they still want to enter the flaming desert? They should be hunting low-level demonic beasts at the edge of the desert. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. It seemed that there were quite a number of people who thought highly of themselves wherever they went. They could say whatever they wanted as long as they did not provoke them. Otherwise, do not think that I, Yun Chujio, would dare to kill you just because you have high spiritual power. At this time, an arrogant voice said, Hey! Since the 4 of you have already been here, have you seen the purple heavenly lightning? Yun Chujio's heart moved. Could it be that these people came for the purple heavenly lightning? Could it be that they thought that some heavenly treasure had appeared? Yun Chujio said indifferently, We have seen it. It kept going on for several hours and it was very scary. We were so scared until our legs went soft, so we sat down to rest. Chapter 956. Extraordinary talents. When those people heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately burst into laughter. They were really cowardly. They were frightened by the heavenly lightning until their legs went soft. Ha! Feng Ming and the other 2 were very angry in their hearts. However, when they saw that Yun Chujio's expression was still indifferent and was not affected by these sneers, the 3 of them also calmed down and continued to meditate with their eyes closed. Hey, let me ask you, did anything strange happen? Asked a girl in red. There was indeed something strange. Some demon beasts were fighting with each other, and it was hard to see them from afar. It seemed that a group of demon wolves and a group of demon tigers were fighting until the sky was dark. Later, the lightning kept striking, and they all dispersed. One look and you can tell that they are country bumpkins who have never seen the world. Demon wolves and demon tigers? Those are wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers. I don't know where these 4 country bumpkins came from. A man said with disdain. Oh, so it's wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers. I didn't know. Thank you for your advice. Yun Chujio thanked him indifferently. That person never expected that Yun Chujio would not only not be angry, but also thank him. He was stunned for a moment and then muttered, You're crazy. The girl in red and one of the men in white said, Senior Liu, it seems that there are indeed natural treasures there. Otherwise, those wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers would not fight so fiercely for them. There is no need for us to go in. Those wild desert wolves and wild desert tigers are of a much higher level than us. If we meet them, I'm afraid we will be doomed. Junior sister Su Lian, what you said makes sense. Since there's no need to go in, let's go back. You should hurry up and prepare for the entrance test. Yes, junior sister Su Lian, there's no suspense at all about you passing the entrance test. With your talent and senior sister Yin Xinlian's care, you'll definitely be in the top 100 of the roll of prodigies in the future. Please, watch your tongue. Junior sister Su Lian is so outstanding, why would she need senior sister Yin Xinlian's help? That's right. Our junior sister Su Lian is only 19 years old, but she's already at the 5th layer of the spirit sect. With such outstanding talent, not to mention the top 100 of the roll of prodigies, it's even possible for her to be in the top 10. The red-dressed girl's face was full of pride, but she concealed it and said, Seniors, you're flattering me. How can my talent be considered outstanding? Only those like His Excellency and young Master Wuji are called outstanding talents. Yun Chujio was sensitive enough to detect a hint of shyness in the girl's words. Damn it. Little bitch, it's fine if you covet Wuji's head, but if you dare to have plans to go after my Prince Charming, I won't let you off. How dare you snatch my man? I'll torture you to death. His Excellency and young Master Wuji are not people our generation can compare to. I heard that when they were studying at Tianyuan Academy, the total points of the 2 of them added together was more than the total points of the others. What? The 2 of them entered the academy at the age of 14. Normally, They would need 5 years to graduate, but the two of them graduated in just 3 years. Moreover, up until now, many records have been maintained by the two of them. Our headmaster said that these two people are geniuses that appear once in 10,000 years. Yes, we can only look up to such people. However, you girls are still better off. At least you can still marry them. We don't even have the chance to become their subordinates. Their subordinates are all secret guards who have been trained since they were young. Upon hearing the man's words, the few girls were all bashful, especially the girl in red. Her face was flushed red as she stamped her feet and said, "Senior, what nonsense are you talking about?" Chapter 957. Vigor City. Yun Chujio almost vomited. Damn it. She even pretended to be shy. How shameless. Feng Ming and the other two felt a little cold for some reason. The three of them looked at each other and saw that Yun Chujio's face was as calm as water. It was obvious that she was unhappy. The three of them suddenly realized that they were jealous. This person's jealousy was really infectious. He was a perfect match for that young Master D. Those people chatted and laughed for a while before leaving. Although Yun Chujio did not like them, she was relieved. If they fought, it would be really troublesome. The four of them were done resting. They happened to come across the route those people from earlier had used and successfully left the grassland. The moment they saw the main road, tears filled their eyes. It was not easy. They almost died right after ascending. The voice transmission talisman in Yun Chujio's storage ring started to vibrate. Both in Feng's and Di Baiming's voice transmission talismans were going off repeatedly. The two of them must have been frantic. Yun Chujio decided to inform in Feng when she found out the exact location of this place. Thus, she first replied to Di Baiming, "Prince Charming, the four of us have been teleported to the Flaming Desert. We have already left that place behind. Our current location is unknown. I will tell you later when I find out more." Very soon, Di Baiming's voice transmission talisman started to vibrate. After Yun Chujio sent her divine sense in, she heard Di Baiming say a single word, "Okay." Yun Chujio pouted. This guy was still the same. Did he not know how to say a few more words? Although there were not many people on the road, there were still quite a number of them in the city. Yun Chujio took a rough look and found that some had lower spiritual power than her and the other three. However, they were either young or looked like they were poor. Those who wore slightly decent clothes had higher spiritual power than the four of them. Yun Chujio analyzed the words of those people before. Those people praised that person called Su Lian. She was considered a genius at the 5th level of the spirit sect at the age of 19. Based on this deduction, a normal 19-year-old should be around the 3rd level of the spirit sect. She was not too useless, however. Senior brother Feng Ming and the other two were all in their early 20s. In that way, they were already behind. Yun Chujio saw a kind-looking old man and quickly ran over to ask for directions with a smile. "Old uncle, may I ask how to get to the nearest town?" The old man saw that Yun Chujio had a good attitude and she was still a little girl, so he patiently pointed the way. It turned out that there was a Vigor City less than 30 miles away from here, and it was less than 20 miles away from the Tianyuan Academy. Many people who came to participate in the entrance exam would stay in Vigor City for a while. After Yun Chujio thanked the old man, she returned to Feng Ming and the other two, and said with a smile, "It's a coincidence. The Tianyuan Academy is not far ahead." Yun Chujio repeated what the old man said, and Feng Ming and the other two were also very excited. However, a worried expression immediately appeared on their faces. "Junior sister little Jiu, we are so weak now, and the Tianyuan Academy is also the best in the Tianyuan continent. I'm afraid that we won't be able to get in." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Don't try to make others look bad on us. There will always be a way when we reach the end of the road. Don't worry, with me around, we will be able to get in." For some reason, Feng Ming thought back to the time when Yun Chujio had insisted on taking the 6 places in the Spirit Radiant sect. His heart relaxed. Junior sister little Jiu was full of schemes. She might really be able to get in. Chapter 958. Long wind in. Let's go to stay in Vigor City and have a good rest. He'll send a message to Infeng and ask him to help us ask about the registration and entrance test, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Feng Ming and the other two saw Yun Chujio smile and felt relieved. They nodded and followed the old man's direction to Vigor City. Yun Chujio briefly explained the situation to Infeng. Infeng quickly sent a letter over. Miss Gio, your subordinate will be able to arrive at Vigor City by tonight. You guys head towards the Long Wind Inn in Vigor City. That is the esteemed lord's property. I have already made the necessary arrangements. When you arrive there, shopkeeper Chi will arrange for your accommodation. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with Infeng's efficiency. No wonder the pretty boy was so stingy with his words. It turned out that he was used to having such sensible subordinates. When could she have such reliable subordinates? It would be a relief knowing such people could take care of things for you so well. An hour later, the four of them saw a magnificent city. On the city gate, there were two large and powerful words, Vigor City. Yun Chujio found it somewhat familiar. Why did it feel like the handwriting of the Prince Charming? The four of them followed the flow of people into the city. After asking around, they found out that the Long Wind Inn was the largest in Vigor City. It was located in the center of Vigor City, and it had an eye-catching appearance. However, a random passerby reminded them, it is currently the Tianyuan Academy's entrance examination season, so all the inns in Vigor City are full. The Long Wind Inn is a symbol of one's status, and it has already been booked up long ago. I'm afraid that all of you will have wasted your time going there. That person still had one more thing to say. With your looks, it was obvious that you're not from a wealthy background. How could you possibly afford to stay at the Long Wind Inn? Yun Chujio pretended not to hear that. After thanking them, she brought Feng Ming and the other two to the Long Wind Inn. The Long Wind Inn was indeed very easy to find. Yun Chujio and the other two quickly saw a three-story inn. With just one look, they could tell that it was much better than the surrounding buildings. Yun Chujio felt that this style was very suitable for the palace mistress. Could it be that this was the palace mistress' handiwork? Yun Chujio and the other three had just walked to the entrance of Long Wind Inn when they met the same people they met at the edge of the desert. One of the men sneered and said, "Country bumpkins, don't tell me you want to stay in Long Wind Inn? You overestimate yourselves. Do you know how many spirit stones a night the cheapest room in Long Wind Inn costs?" Yun Chujio did not seem to hear the disdain in his words and asked indifferently, "How many spirit stones a night?" The man curled his lips. "Even the cheapest room costs 10 high-grade spirit stones for a night. Can you afford it?" "Oh." Yun Chujio lifted her leg and walked inside. "What did it mean?" The man stretched out his arm and blocked Yun Chujio's path. "What was that about? Do you have any spirit stones? Moreover, the rooms inside are all booked up now. Even if you have money or status, you can't book a room." "That's right. Do you think that anyone can stay in this Long Wind Inn? This is the property of the Hall of Longevity. Those who have no status or face are not qualified to stay here." Yun Chujio secretly cursed in her heart. This Long Wind Inn was indeed in the style of the palace mistress. It only caters to people with status. Senior Brother Pai, perhaps they don't have any money on them. They are preparing to do odd jobs here. This little girl is pretty good at serving tea and pouring water for the guests. Get out of the way and let them in. A young man glanced at Yun Chujio's face with ill intentions. Although this little girl's figure had not grown, her skin and facial features were very exquisite. Chapter 959. Violent beating. Yun Chujio shot a glance at the man who spoke. "Very good, I will remember you. Let's meet at Tianyuan Academy and see how I will deal with you when the time comes." Following the man's words, the other people also started to jeer. At this moment, the red-clothed girl walked out. Although her clothes were still red, it was obvious that she had changed into another set. When she saw Yun Chujio and the others, she curled her lips. Then she said to the waiter behind her, "Since when can anyone enter the Long Wind Inn? I remember that the palace mistress had said at the banquet that those who could enter the Long Wind Inn were either outstanding or influential figures. Could it be that the rules have changed now?" When the waiter heard the girl in red's words, he nodded and said humbly, Miss Su Lian's words make sense. They'll drive these 4 people out right now. Not everyone can enter our Long Wind Inn. After the waiter finished speaking, when he arrived in front of Yun Chujio and the others, his expression immediately changed. Our Long Wind Inn is already full. There's an inn with 100 low-grade spirit stones for 1 room in the north of the city. You'd better head over there. Leave quickly and don't disrupt our business. It's fine if we don't go in. Call your shopkeeper out. We have matters to discuss with him. Yun Chujio was so angry that she was amused. I do not have anything else right now, but I do have plenty of spirit stones. Buying this Long Wind Inn would be easy. She was always despised by a shop's assistants. She had been used to it for a long time. Our shopkeeper is busy with work every day. How would he have the time to see you poor people? Hurry up and scram, or else don't blame me for taking action. The waiter had always suffered the wrath of the customers. Finally, he had someone to vent his anger on. His words became more and more hostile. Yun Chujio smiled and waved at the waiter. Come here. I have something to talk to you about. The waiter thought that Yun Chujio was going to bribe him with spirit stones, so he walked up to Yun Chujio and asked, What's the matter? As soon as he said, the matter, Yun Chujio kicked the waiter's lower abdomen. The waiter was caught off guard, so he was kicked by Yun Chujio and fell on the stairs. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected that this little girl would make a move at the slightest disagreement. Did she know what she had just done? As the saying goes, one had to look at the owner before beating up a dog. This Long Wind Inn was the property of the Hall of Longevity. The guests who usually stayed here were either rich or noble, but they would only verbally scold these waiters. No one dared to make a move for fear of offending the Hall of Longevity. Moreover, that waiter was on the 2nd level of the spirit sect, and this little girl was only on the 1st level of the spirit sect. How could he be kicked down? This waiter was too useless. The waiter was dumbfounded for a long time before he finally got up. He never dreamed that he would be beaten up by someone. And it was a piece of trash whose spiritual power was inferior to his. Stinky girl, you dared to hit me. You don't want to live in the Tianyuan continent anymore, do you? The waiter's face looked ferocious as he gnashed his teeth and said, I'm hitting a snobbish person like you. The inn is a place that welcomes guests from all over. What right do you have to speak ill of us? Yun Chujio said coldly. You bitch. Alright, you're the one who attacked first. Don't say that I'm bullying trash like you. After saying that, the waiter raised his hand and was about to slap Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio dodged the waiter's palm. She then turned around and appeared behind the man. She kicked the man's back and the man flew toward the stall selling roasted spirit potatoes across the street. The man was scalded until he cried out in pain. Chapter 960. The daughter of an old friend. When the crowd saw that the waiter was in such a sorry state, they did not think that Yun Chujio's skills were extraordinary. They only felt that this waiter was too stupid to be fooled by a little girl at the 1st level of the spirit sect. The waiter flew into a rage out of humiliation. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of wind blades flew towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio nimbly dodged them, then stretched her neck and shouted, Long Wind Inn is bullying people on the street. Long Wind Inn is looking down on people. Long Wind Inn is bullying the weak. The corners of Feng Ming and the other two's eyes twitched violently. Junior sister little Gio, you seem to be slandering the property of your future in-laws. Is this good? Yun Chujio did not care about that. She stretched her neck and kept shouting. Soon, many people came over to watch. The waiter became even angrier from the humiliation. He had sent out countless wind blades, yet he could not even touch the corner of that smelly girl's clothes. How was this possible? At this moment, an angry shout came from inside the inn. Lucky! Stop! Yun Chujio curled her lips. How could such a person be called lucky? It was more appropriate to call her the lucky one. When the waiter heard the voice, he stopped reluctantly. He glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. Shopkeeper, this little girl not only delayed our business, but also hurt people. You must help me make a decision. Miss Su Lian, you must help me prove it. The red-dressed girl looked at Yun Chujio with disdain. Then she said, That's right. The palace mistress once said that not everyone can stay in this long wind inn. Lucky only chased her away after listening to my instructions. I didn't expect that she would hurt someone. She really lacks manners. Yun Chujia's eyes darkened. She didn't care about anything else, but to say that she lacked manners was to indirectly insult her parents and her elders. That Su Lian was courting death. Yun Chujio took a few steps forward. The red-dressed girl was stunned by Yun Chujia's aura and could not help but take a few steps back. Miss, please hold your tongue. You don't have the right to comment on whether I have a good or bad upbringing. If you have the leisure to do so, why don't you take care of yourself? If you say something hurtful so casually, I wonder how your upbringing was? Yun Chujio stared into the red-dressed girl's eyes. She said coldly. The red-dressed girl felt a chill run down her spine. This girl only had the spiritual power of the first level of the spirit sect, but the coldness in her eyes made people feel as if she could kill her at any time. The red-dressed girl was stunned for a while, and then she shouted angrily out of embarrassment, "How dare you? Do you know who you are talking to? You better believe that I can kill you immediately." I am not your father. Why would I know who you are? Kill me? Just because you scolded me and I refuted you, you want to kill me? Although I don't know which sect you are from, to act so arrogantly is an embarrassment to your family. Yun Chujio had never been a good-tempered person. She even dared to rebuke the palace mistress, so a red-dressed girl who appeared out of nowhere was nothing to her. The red-clothed girl had never been rebuked like this in her entire life. She was so angry that she nearly fainted. She stretched out her hand and was about to launch a spirit energy attack. At this moment, a deep voice said, "Miss Su Lian, this 9th young miss is the daughter of the palace mistress' old friend. Please, for the sake of the palace mistress, let this matter go." The red-clothed girl had never imagined that the manager of the Long Wind Inn would say such a thing. The daughter of the palace mistress' old friend? How could this poor trash be the daughter of the palace mistress' friend? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.